prefix, LOQ. I got you in there. What's your prefix, LOQ? Sorry.
Kilo Bravo 7, Lima Oscar, Quebec. Art in St. George.
That's it. Thank you, Art. I just could not think. I'm a little flustered from trying to get this stupid thing working here. Then I got Chuck, N6AF, and let's see, I got N6WHK, Phil, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who else have we got? This is W6DQ looking for early check-ins.
Well, Whiskey 7 Mexico Sierra W7MS.
K6ZTA.
W6TOM.
A6FEW.
WB6RLC.
Kilo Foxtrot 6, Quebec, November, Golf.
WJ6W. Whiskey Alpha 9, Juliet, India, Bravo.
Okay, let me go through what I've got now. Let me see if I got the frequency. Okay, after Phil, let's see, I got Mike, W7MS, Devon, K6ZTA, I've got Tom, W6TOM, and the next one I wasn't sure about. I didn't quite catch it, but Sierra Echo Whiskey or Fox Echo Whiskey. Can you give me your whole call sign again, please?
K6 Foxtrot Echo Whiskey. Frank?
Frank, okay, very good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Next I've got Glenn, WB6RLC. Then I've got Lisa, KF6QNG. I've got Dave, WJ6W, and Bob, WA9JIB. Who have I missed? Anybody else? Come now.
Whiskey 6 Tango Hotel Whiskey.
Whiskey 6 Tango Hotel Whiskey. Okay, that's a new call sign to me. What's the name and where are you located?
Yeah, handles Mike, and I'm located in Rockland, California. Over.
Okay, Rockland, California. Is this your first time with our roundtable here?
Yes, it is. Mike, MS told me you guys had that, and I finally found it. Well, hi, Mike.
Outstanding. We got two mics tonight. Yay, Mike and Mike. Very good, Mike. Well, welcome, and we'll start hopefully around 7 o'clock. Will be when the roundtable actually starts, but up until then, we'll just do some yakking here. So let's see if I got anybody else who'd like to check in. This is W6DQ.
WA6JUS.
WA6JUS. Well, good evening to you, sir. Who else we got? Okay, silence. Okay, let's go let everybody have a turn now. We got a lot of time. We got over 20 minutes. So up at the top of the list, I got Art, KB7LOQ. Art, if you'll give it to Chuck, N6AF. Chuck, give it to Phil, N6WHK. Phil, give it to Mike, W7MS. And Mike, give it back to me if you would, please. So, Art, take it away. KB7LOQ in the early list for the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
W6DQ, KB7LOQ. You're sounding great here. Really loud. Dennis wondering what receiver you were having trouble with. From the pictures I've seen of your shack, everything looks deluxe. On the HT37 into the SV220 tonight, same old. Been sick on and off the last couple of weeks. I don't know if it's sick or if I've just got a continuing medical condition, but it's frustrating. But I'm on tonight. The signals are great. Everybody sounds great. Coming at you, Chuck. N6AM, KB7LOQ.
All right. November 6 Alpha Fox. AM. And thanks for taking the earlies, Dennis. And you know, I just scribbled a note down. I was going to say frustration is a very important part of the hobby. For me, anyway. It's when things aren't working right, especially if you're under a time crunch, that's when I really start learning. But so I've been tinkering with one of my HQ170s, and I was going to try to set it up tonight with my HT37, but I didn't quite make it. So I'm on the KWM2, and that's the story. So over to you, Phil, and 6WHK from N6AF.
N6AF and 6WHK. Well, I'm on my Swan 350 Delta, running about 400 watts, I believe, at the moment. I've got a lot of frustration lately, too. I've got RF that came into the shack here in the last week or so, and I'm trying to figure out where it came from, and I want to get rid of it. So there you go on that. And with that, I'll pass it to W7MS and 6WHK.
Well, thank you, Phil, and 6WHK, W7MS, Mike in Reno. Well, I have no frustrations here. I just wondered where the sun went, but I guess we'll see it sometime in the far future. But good signals, and hello, Dennis. Also for Dennis, who's running the net tonight? Haven't seen any net postings for forever. It's just a blank slate. So glad to hear you. Good signal. And hello to Lisa, W6DQ, W7MS.
All right, Mike, very good. Well, tonight's net, or tonight's roundtable, Bob, AK6R, is scheduled as the host tonight, and haven't seen anything or heard anything from him, so I hope we have a host. I don't know if he's here or not. Who knows? But no question the evening has been published or anything, so we'll see what happens. So let's see. That's all I can tell you. I did get an email from John, telling me, well, I knew that I was going to be taking the earlies tonight, but he was basically reminding Bob and I that we were doing the show tonight, so I'm here. I hope Bob shows up. Let me get the next group of 4. I've got Vaughn, K6ZTA, followed by Tom, W6TOM. And then Frank, K6 Fox Echo Whiskey, and then WB6RLC Glenn, and then Glenn, go ahead and give it back to me. So, Vaughn, take it away, K6ZTA from W6DQ.
Okay, Dennis, thank you. Yeah, thank you, W6DQ, K6ZTA. Okay, well, things are moving along here pretty well. We've got the SB220 on, driving it with the 100V, so we probably don't need it, but we've got it on anyway. And let's see what else is going on here. Weather was absolutely stunning today. Blue sky, white billowy clouds, a little bit of dark clouds, but they didn't shed any water, so it was really nice here in Woodland Hills and out towards Thousand Oaks. So, okay, anyway, enough of that. And oh yeah, we're running about we're cooking along here at about, I guess, about 1,000 watts peak, thereabouts. Okay, W6TOM, Tom, take it, K6ZTA.
K6ZTA, W6TOM here. Good signal into the Bay Area. Looks like we got good conditions tonight. I'm running my Kenwood TS120F, the recent acquisition I brought back from actually probably the last Bay Area swap of the year at Santa Rosa a few months ago. And I'm driving a Heathkit HL2200 for, I don't know, probably a kilowatt on peak. Quite pleased with this small little radio. And it's good to hear you, Frank. I'm glad to see that you're back in the roundtable. K6FEW to take it, W6TOM.
Thanks, Tom. Good to hear you. You got a great signal. Everybody's got a great signal here. K6FEW up here in the Bay Area. So it's going well tonight. I'm on the CE20A again. Trying to get another rig, the old TMC on the air, but proving a little difficult, but hopefully this one's doing all right. Trying not to overdrive it too much, but got it feeding APA 100, which is hopefully putting out close to 100 watts. So thanks, Dennis, for taking the check-ins. Good to get back on here. And I'll hand it over to Glenn, RLC, J6FEW. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone on the net, or on the roundtable. Excuse me. What a faux-pas. Anyway, Glenn here, Cathedral City, next Virgo for some Palm Springs. Rig tonight's my good old standby Swan 400. Up to an offset or fed dipole 32. And we're having absolutely cold weather. It's like 68 degrees out here. I'm going to have to put on my bunny slippers, It's just getting down to that frigid weather. But it was around the 80s today, so gorgeous day out here in paradise. Anyway, back to you, Dennis, WB6RLC.
Okay, Glenn, very good. Good to hear you guys on tonight, and nice signals all the way around. Everybody sounds fantastic. I meant to answer a question Art had asked me about what I was having problems with. I was having problems with my S-line, the 75S3C, and my antenna switching. Something wasn't making a connection, so I was not getting anything on the receiver. So I just made the decision at I couldn't get things to tune up, so at the last minute I just said, okay, I'm switching over to the one that I know works because I was using it earlier today. That one I had running earlier tonight, but it decided it wasn't going to work. So we're back on the original radio, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. So, but 75S3 decided it wasn't going to cooperate with me. So I got to figure out what's going on there with that stuff. Okay, I've got 5 left here. I'm going to just go through the whole list, starting with Lisa, KF6QNG, sitting to my left here. Then we'll go over to Dave, WJ6W, and then Bob, WA9JIB. And then to Mike, W6THW, Tango Hotel Whiskey. And welcome tonight, Mike. It's nice to have you with us for the first time. If we follow instructions, you should be moved up farther in the list because you're a new member. So first-timers always get pushed up the list a ways. And bringing up the back of the list here is John, WA6JUS. And John, when you're done, send it back to me. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, KF6QNG, and their early list, W6DQ.
And for DLA.
Thank you for taking the earlies, and good evening to one and all. So, it's been a crazy week so far at work. Worked till 6 o'clock last night, worked till 6 o'clock tonight. Anyway, long days and just crazy stuff. We're short-handed, and I'm just getting further and further behind. But, oh well. Keeps me off the street, keeps me out of trouble, so I think. That's about it for now. It goes over to... Okay, so Dave, take it. J6W from KF6QNG.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. WJ6W here. And, I hope after all that work, this gives you a little relaxation this evening and lets you forget your work situation there a little bit. Work? Yeah, I remember that. Actually, I still do a little bit, but it's much less than it used to be, and about the amount I care to do. But anyway, Dave here in Tarzana, running our Drake C line tonight, and the Collins 30L1, putting out about 600 watts peak. And it's 60 degrees here right now, kind of cool in Tarzana. Beautiful day, as everyone was mentioning. We went for an extra long walk today, a couple of miles, which is a little more than we usually do, and really nice, really just a beautiful day. Clouds coming in and out, so there was sun and there was clouds, and a little breeze was nice. So that's the story from here. We'll send it over to Bob.
N4DLA.
N4DLA.
WJ6W.
Will you guys wait?
UA9JID. So this is Bob over here in La Quintana, helicopter site. More about that later. Yeah, I echo the sentiment. Beautiful day here. Mostly cloudy. I thought it might even rain today, but then it didn't. So I've been at the lab today. Thinking I worked from home, but today I went in. Walking around. Leaves are falling off the, what are those called? Yeah, I haven't thought of this in a while. They're not really maple trees, okay? You know, it's a California version of maple trees. They really start beautiful colors in the autumn. Yeah, I've never been able to do it. It'll come to me. Anyway, so yeah, Lisa, your story there reminded me of my grandfather's favorite song by Tennessee Ernie Ford. Deadline, another day older and deeper in debt. After looking out at the office, or the gravel yard, whatever the case may be. So, anyway, signal's coming in pretty good here. Looking forward to Roundtable. Have no idea what the question is. Have to think of something erudite to say on the fly. And with that, I'll send it to station I don't know, but glad to make your acquaintance. This is Bob in La Quintana, California. Sending it to Whiskey 6 Tango Hotel Whiskey from Whiskey Delta 9 Juliet India Bravo.
Okay, very good all the way around. W6 Tango Hotel Whiskey. Yep, this is my first time on. I'm brand newy, and hopefully everything is working. If not, I'm only running 68 watts. 6-8 watts, so who knows how well you can copy. The rig here is a Tentec Titan 4 and the Tentec 260Z power supply and the Tentec digital readout. And again, on the handles mic, I'm located in Rockland, as everybody probably knows where that's at. And I'll give it back to net control due to the fact I think you stopped at me, W6E8 and a W.
Okay, Mike, very good. It goes over to John, WA6JUS. Go ahead and pick it up. And I'm not hearing John. Okay, well, we'll come back and see if John shows up again. All right, guys. Well, good deal. Signals are fantastic. Mike, you're making it great with your 68 watts. You're 20 over here, believe it or not. And I was going to comment about, let's see, hang on one second. Who was running the, I think it was Frank running the 100A, or not the 100A, the 20A, Central Electronics. Sounds fantastic. You're doing great here. So it's good to have you back with us. And with that, I'm going to look for, I know there's at least a couple more check-ins. I wish you guys would be patient and wait until we call for check-ins. Other people have the frequency when you guys jump in there. So just stand by until I ask. I will ask for more check-ins. All you have to do is just be patient. So I will be asking now for more patience, for more check-ins from those patient operators out there. Let's see who we've got. This is W6DQ.
Kilo Whiskey 1, November Golf.
November 4, Delta, Lima, Alpha.
Let's start, Dennis. Is it 7 o'clock or earlier?
It starts at the usual time, 7 o'clock.
Okay, then this is prenet, and you know, it should be a little bit looser. This is not a formal net. This is just checking.
You know, Skip, you can tell it to my hand, okay? Just knock it off. I am running this. You'll do it the way that I ask you to run it. I'm running it as a formal net. I'm asking for check-ins. I'm not asking for everybody to just jump in on top of everybody else at the same time when somebody else is trying to talk. So just grow up a little bit.
Hey, if this were a net, I would have done. This is prenet. This is a early check-in. Anyway, good luck, K6LGL.
Go find another net to play with, Skip. I'm sick and tired of your crap that you give us. So let's see. I've got Ken, KW1NG, and I've got Matthew, N6DLA. Have we got anybody else?
How about W6YEC?
Oh yeah, George. Good to hear you. Anybody else on here tonight? All right, let's get this group. I got Ken, KW1NG, and it'll go over to Matthew, N6DLA. And Matthew, go ahead and give it to George, W6YEC, and George, give it back to me, please.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dennis. We're on the S line tonight, the 75S3C, 32S3, and the 30L1, and running about 700 watts peak out to a inverted L, 85-foot inverted L. And signals are good tonight, and I left the rig on for a couple hours, so it should be nice and stable this evening, so don't have to chase you around. All right, that's me. Handle here is Ken, and we're about 30 miles east of San Diego in Alpine. Going to N6DLA, KW1NG.
KW1NG from N4. N4DLA, Matthew, in Orinda, California, 55 degrees outside. And very nice evening. Good signals again tonight. And the new station in Rockland, I believe it's Palm. Your 68 watts is S9 over here, about 15 miles east of the city and county of San Francisco. Over to George, W6YEC from N4DLA.
Okay, Matthew. Boy, you're loud tonight. Usually you're pretty weak, but big signal this evening up to around 10-20 over. So, that's great. Wonderful conditions. Alrighty, just got down here, set some clocks, and winding them. Unfortunately, the spring broke on one, and so I have to figure out what I'm going to do about that. Anyhow, thanks, Dennis, for taking the list here. W6DQ, W6YEC.
All right, George, very good. You got a great signal up here tonight, sounding good, my friend. And sorry to hear about that spring break, and I know that, but it's fall. It's not time for spring to break yet. But anywho, let's see. I got Ken. Yeah, Ken, great on the 75S3C and the 32S3. That's what wasn't cooperating earlier for me tonight. Was my 75S3 was like numb. So antenna and receiver problems. So we'll see what's going on there. And Matthew, I knew that. I apologize. I know it's November 4. I know that. Good grief. Oh well. Yeah, I was a little tweaked. I apologize for that, but I'm just tired of that nonsense, and it's just got to stop. Anyway, let's see. But I haven't seen anything today from anyone regarding the roundtable tonight. My presumption is that it'll start at the normal time, 7 o'clock. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. So we'll see. I don't hear John on here either, K6KOI. I don't know. John, are you around?
K6LGL standing by.
Okay, I hear you this time, Skip. Thank you. John, K6KOI, are you there? No, I'm not hearing John. Okay, Skip, I'm going to put you back on the list. Why don't you take a turn?
Okay. Thank you very much, Dennis. Hey, I generally, stick to the rules of the measurement session. Pretty much along a little bit, a little bit more free. Anyway, I'm surprised. You're absolutely right. N4DLA is very strong, and so are the others. So, interesting propagation. So, good luck, whoever it is. I hope John makes it. K6LGL.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm going to give him a phone call here in a minute and find out what's going on. But anyhow, Anywho, let's see, how much time we got? We got 2 minutes. So anyway, yikes. Let me give John a real quick phone call and find out what's up. I'll be standing by here, and maybe, let's see, who would like to talk about something? Hey, who hasn't been here for a long time? Well, how about our new member? Where is he? Where are you here? Where are you there? I got you here. Oh, Mike, W6THW. Tell us a little bit about yourself there, what you're running, and, well, you said you were running a Triton 4, so that's cool, but tell us a little bit about yourself, and I'll be back in a minute. This is W6TQ.
Okay, W6THW. Well, I'm just an old man sitting here, and the calls so far I've recognized Little Green Light from the old days, and of course Mike there in Nevada, who I have to say kind of beat me out of some good iambic keys. And how he got them, I don't know, but kind of jealous of that. But I did pick up Mike at the swap meet, this Syntec Triton 4. I don't know if you remember me walking with it or what I was doing, and it actually worked. I put a little work to it, though. So, Mike, that's all there is. I'm an old man. I have nothing else to say. I love to listen to, because I do know some of the calls, and they should recognize mine. So, back to net control, if he's made his phone call, I hope. W6THW.
Yeah, Mike, I'm back. W6THW and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6TQ here, and I'm unable to reach Mike. I'm thinking maybe I'll try and call Bob, but I don't know. AK6R, are you here?
Dennis, tag, you're at W7MS.
I guess that's it. I'm supposed to be host next week, but I don't have a question for this week, so I guess we'll have to make something up. Oh, let's see. What can we talk about tonight? How about, let's see, we've talked about our first radios, our first sideband rigs, we've talked about amplifiers, we've talked about, I was thinking about kit building. We've talked about kit building lots of times, so let's see, home brewing and kit building. We got a bunch of home brewers and we got a bunch of kit builders on this group. Let's, how about talking about the last kit that was assembled, that you put together? How about the last kit you put together, if you did one? And if it wasn't a kit, how about the last homebrew project you did? Let's hear that. So we'll do that as the question tonight. How's that? With that, let's see. Oh, that's where I'm getting the feedback from. Hang on a second. There we go. Got rid of that. Darn it. Mute the computer. Let's start at the top there and with Art, KB7LOQ, and go back over to Chuck and 6AF, and then Phil and 6WHK, and then Mike, W7MS. And you know what? I didn't even read the preamble, but you guys all know what we're all about. This is the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, and we meet here every week at 7 p.m. Pacific Time, whether it's Standard Time or Daylight Savings Time, 7 p.m. And, of course, we're dedicated to vintage radios and making sure that folks are using radios that were manufactured before the year 1980. So we want you to describe what you're running, of course, and all of that. But everybody knows the drill, except for our new member there. But you'll pick it up, Mike. And I'm gonna put you up a little bit farther in the list here. But I'm glad that you were able to tell everybody about yourself, and I appreciate that. Kind of put you on the spot a little bit there. So we'll get back to that in a minute. So Art, go ahead and pick it up. KB7LOQ over to N6AF to N6WHK to W7MS, and then back to me. So take it away, Art. KB7LOQ and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Yeah, W6DQ and the Great Roundtable. This is KB7LOQ. Dennis, you are the host with the most. Good job tonight on your extended duties there. You'll have to pay attention all night. unlike me, who has Windex and a Q-tip, and I'm cleaning meters and knobs on various radios when I'm not talking high. Yeah, rig here tonight's the same old HT37 into an SB220, listening on the JIB Memorial SX115. Hello to Bob down there. Look forward to seeing you. And hello to my AM friend John down there in San Diego. I've never built a kit, and I've only homebrewed switches and little things like that. Although I was around hams most of my life, I didn't get my ticket till 91. But I've always operated old gear, so I did put together a Caldwell shooting table and a Caldwell lead sled today, so I did put together a couple of things. So anyhow, thanks again, Dennis, for taking the net, and welcome to Mike from Rockland. Good signal here up in St. George. And 6 a.m. Chuck, KB7LOQ.
Hi, very good. Listening to the added wandering carrier in the background. Isn't it funny how that's just coincident? I know. I won't draw attention to it. November 6 Alpha Fox. So, okay, so I'm on a 1963 KWM2. And that one I had to go in and troubleshoot the PTO in it. That's Collins speak for VFO. And basically found a bad silver mic and fixed that. But so I talked about the single sideband transmitter that I designed myself back in college. So that's boring. You know what you made me think of was I got a heat kit from my parents back when I first got licensed in 71, and it was the heat kit HR10B, the famous fire it up on 80 meters, and by the end of the evening you'll be on 40 meters / 45 dB noise figure. But I really enjoyed putting that together, and you still see them sometimes coming up on eBay and so forth. So that was a lot of fun. But I wanted to just mention, late night hamming. I was working on one of my two HQ170s last night, and the stupid S meter was kind of compressed, and no matter what, it was just basically inactive. And I spent a long time going through and pulling every tube and all of that sort of thing. And really, the receiver lineup gain was fine. I compared it to my K3, and it was right in there. So it really was just the S meter circuit. So this is one of those oddball things. Just kind of randomly, I'm looking at the circuit for the S meter. It's 12AU7 amp, and I thought I didn't even check the voltage on the cathode. I just decided I'm going to check the cathode resistor value, and I just suspected that. So I unsoldered one end of it, and then went in there with, of course, it's turned off, but it is getting towards midnight, and put the DVM on it, and it was close to 2,700 ohms. So I thought, okay, well, all right, I'm going to have to get a little more methodical about this, and start checking all the voltages and so on. So I soldered the resistor back in, and voila, the whole S meter circuit comes alive. And that was at midnight. So I take that I take that as a bit of luck. But anyway, so that's the story. The KWM2 is running into a semi-homebrew solid state amp. Basically it's a carcass, a 4-transistor carcass that was targeting, shall we say, a band that we generally don't use unless we're about maybe 15 years old. And so I put in a set of 4 MRF 421 that have a 290 watt collector dissipation. So I thought this thing's going to be pretty beefy. And I put in a switchable bandpass filter on the output and a bias circuit, and got the IMD nicely tweaked in, and up to 750 amps. So I tinker with this stuff, and especially like working on the old radios. The older they are, the younger I feel, relatively speaking. N6WHK, N6AF.
N6AF, N6WHK. Well, I haven't ever built one or had to repair one. I had built a few things out of Heathkit, but Heathkit was only a mile from my house, so I kind of went up there quite often. I wish they were still in business, still around. I built a few devices, clocks, one thing and another. I still have one with the old tube that has got all the elements in there that light up and actually give you the time. And it was pretty accurate. I don't know where it's at now. It's somewhere around the QTH here. But I'm still running the Swan 350 Delta, which YEC actually fixed for me. It had a problem in the logic circuit of the readout, and a bad connection. And that was a pain in the neck and a headache to find all those little tiny bad connections and resolder them. So I'd think my hat's off to him. Anyway, with that, I'm going to pass it on down the road. W7MS, back to you, sir. N6WHK.
Well, thank you, Phil. N6WHK and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, W7MS. Mike in Reno, as stated previously. And also a big welcome to W6THW. He may be known to some of the old-timers as Penryn Mike back in the old days, but now he's Rockland Mike. But he was quite an active AMer going back to the SpamNet days. So how's that, Mike, for your pedigree there? You've been around, and of course, congratulations on the 65 watts, doing quite well into Reno. But this evening, running the Cubic Astro 103. All the pin diodes are percolating properly, and that's always a plus. And that's driving a Kenwood TL922A amplifier to about 1,1300 watts out to a coax-fed dipole. And I was thrown by the question there, almost thrown as heavily as you were, Dennis, as being the de facto net control tonight, but thanks for running the show. And I was digging around because I've got 2 on-bill kits here, but I can't find them because I rearranged everything in one of my closets for the this past fall's swap meet here locally, and I know they're here somewhere. That's a standard dilemma. That could be a question of the evening. Have you ever had difficulty in finding something in your ham pile? And that's probably going to be a yes for all of us. It could lead to a 3-hour net with the response. But I caught something on my eye, and it does answer the question. And this is a phase cancellation rotation device. Maybe it's still sold. I think I built these about 2 years ago. I built a pair of these, and it's an amateur in Southern California, and he marketed these as the QRM 180, and there were also some Chinese knockoffs. I think he took the lead, and of course the entrepreneurs in China on eBay grabbed the initiative there, and we're copying his design. It's pretty much, as he admits, a compilation of the various phase-shifting devices out there on the market, and he made a really nice little box, and it was a kit. So I can officially satisfy the request. Otherwise, I don't want to go back 40 or 50 years to night kits and Heath kits. What the heck? We want to think, at least Right, we only went back 2 years on this to answer this question. So back to you, Dennis. W6DQ, W7MS.
All right, Mike, very good. W7MS, the vintage single sideband roundtable. W6DQ here. Fantastic. Well, great story. Good stuff. Everybody's sounding fantastic. I mean, conditions are just perfect tonight. So, yeah, the 103 with the 922 sounds good there, Mike. And the Swan 350 Phil sounds fantastic. And I remember you talking in the past about living near Heathkit's offices there. You lucky guy. You did. That's pretty cool. And Chuck, very good on the HR-10. Yeah, I know the HR-10 myself. Never built one, but I've got 2 of them, so go figure. And Art sounded good on the HD-37. Absolutely fantastic with the 220. So, Mike, QRM 180. I've never heard of that, but I'm going to go check it out. I'm going to go look for that, see if I can find it. That sounds like an interesting device, but it sounds kind of like the, what's their name, when they did the JPS Electronics ANC4, which, who does that belong to now? They sold that product off to like MFJ or something, I think. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, I guess I should mention I am running the KWM 380 tonight. Running that into the Alpha 87A. I was planning on using the S-Line and the 30S1, but that tanked. So maybe next week we'll get it going and have it on the air. Maybe Friday night we'll have it on the air. But we're using the... I was thinking I was on the loop, but I'm actually on the inverted V right now. I'm not on the loop, but it's the band is quiet, signals are loud. Pretty much everybody is at least 10 to 20 over 9 so far, so I'm really pleased with that. That's really good. And I'll talk about my last kit that I built shortly. I won't do it right now. I'll come back to it. So let me do the next group, and then I'll ask for some more check-ins. So you got K6's ZTA Vaughn, over to Tom, W6TOM, and then Tom over to Frank, K6FW. Oh, no. Stand by 1 second. Scratch that list. Mike, W6THW. I mentioned I was going to push you up the list because you're a first-timer here. So I'm going to put you up next, W6THW. And Mike, I'll have you give it over to Vaughn, K6ZTA. Then Vaughn, you can give it to Tom, W6TOM. And then Tom, give it to Frank, K6FEW, and Frank, go ahead and give it back to me. So take it away, Mike. Oh, stand by. Darn it. Sorry, guys. W6THW and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Okay. W6THW. Very fine. Thank you for bringing it to me real soon, due to the fact I do have to get out of here, and I don't think I can wait until everybody's done. So I'll just say that we built our first transmitter was a Heathkit DX35. Sorry, Mike, I can go back that far. And it was didn't work when I first built it. The plate meter didn't work. Finally, I figured out the ground to it was not soldered. Soldered to somewhere else. Anyhow, I finally got it going. So we boost the power up a little bit here, so should be able to copy me better. And I'll try to make it on. Let me ask one question before I go. Is it on? It's 7 o'clock, I know, but is that every night of the week or what?
Oh, negative. We're just on, this group meets on Tuesday night. We have actually a number of vintage radio nets during the week. So tonight is, of course, the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, and it's on Tuesday night. And then, of course, Monday has an AM net from San Diego, and Wednesday has the AM net here on the West Coast AMI. Thursday, I believe, is that's the Drake net. I think it's same frequency at same time, 3895. And Friday, we've got the Collins Collectors Association net here on this frequency at 3895 at 7 p.m. And then Saturday is the Swan net. Now, I may have the Swan and the Drake reversed, but there's two different nets. There's one on Thursday night, one on Saturday night. Same frequency, 3895 7 p.m. So there you go. We're here every week. And a few other groups that are on here during the week. So there you go. Mike, I hope that answers the question. Go ahead and take it. This is W60.
Comment, please.
Go ahead, comment.
Yeah, this is W6TOM, directed to W6THW. I'm the guy that sold you the Triton 4 at the Western Plaster Swap Meet in Lincoln back in September. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Good to see it on the air, and you sound very good. W6TOM.
Oh, okay, Tom. Yeah, I got a beautiful price on it. I couldn't go wrong. But thank you very much for making a comment on that. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you at another swap meet. Okay, gentlemen, I got to get going. Of course, I forgot, and I used to run the AM Net, AMI, and stuff like that, but do you think I remember who the next person is to give it to? Well, I don't. So you can just take it because you know. So 73 is all, and we'll be listening out. W6THW Rockland.
Okay, let's see. Do I have it?
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Yeah, W6THW, K6ZTA. Very good, Mike. Good signal. Good signal. And everybody's signal is great tonight. Yeah, this is Vaughn, Victor Oscar, the name is Vaughn, Victor Oscar November. And they were running the 100V and driving the SB 220 to probably, we're driving up where every once in a while it peaks up at about 1,000, but usually it's more like settled in there but 600. So let's see. Oh, I'm in Woodland Hills down here in the West San Fernando Valley. And let's see, what I can say is I wanted to say that the Heathkit store used to be about a mile from my house. Now it's a paint store. So that was great. It was great to have that. I think the last kit I built was a Heathkit the Heathkit memory keyer, and it was worked really well. And I think I finally wore out somehow I wore it out. I don't know what happened, but my next kit, just to be on, my next kit is going to be the same kit that NY6L, Jay, he put together this little 5-watt AM rig, the transceiver, and it sounded really interesting. I want to do that. So that I got to wait for them. Apparently they ran out of parts. They were not able to kit the whole thing at this point in time until they get some more parts. And that's my guess anyway, why they're not, why they're taking it. They didn't take it off the market, they just said they're not delivering them right now. Anyway, with that, I will turn it over to Tom. And Tom, that was great that you were able to tell Mike that you sold him that Tremtech. I think that's what you said it was. All right, W6TOM, K6ZTA.
K6ZTA, W6TOM here in the Vintage Side Band Roundtable. Good evening, everybody. I'm in the East Bay, just a little south of Oakland, and I'm running a Kenwood CS180S, and I'm driving a Heathkit HL 2200 amp for, probably still a 1 on tape. I've built a number of kits from QRP guys, but playing around with whisper transmitters. And I like the little hand-fed antennas that you can build, low-powered stuff. I've got a bunch of that stuff that I've built. Oh, I don't know. Sitting behind me, I have a World War II Collins ART-13 transmitter that I've restored, got on the air, and I'm running off the dynamotor. So that was another project, and I've restored and gotten a couple of those things working. and a bunch of other stuff. Heathkit stuff, not really. I didn't get my amateur radio license until I was in my early 30s, so I kind of missed the Heathkit stuff. So anyway, that's the story here. Let me hand it across the bay. K6 FEW, W6TOM.
Thanks, Tom. K6 FEW, Frank here. Yeah, great stories. It brings back a lot of memories of building Heathkits and the early days. I still remember putting together my Mohawk receiver. I thought that was about the coolest thing in the world, all the copper flashing on the case. But I haven't done much in the Heathkit. I've been mostly redoing old military stuff. I think Tom and I traded a bunch of stuff maybe 10 years ago or so. I remember redoing a BC-342. I actually rewired it. Can't believe I did that. But at any rate, that was a project, and working on an old Navy EBW for a while. Don't think I ever quite got that on the air, but it was a lot of fun to work on. So, and now I just really enjoy bringing these older rigs back on the air. This CE-20A seems to be doing pretty well since I finally found a source of germanium diodes. That was a challenge. And I've still got this Technical Materials Corporation TMC thing I'm working on, so that's absorbing a lot of time. So at any rate, great evening here, Dennis. Thanks very much for picking up and ad-libbing on this. And I'll hand it back to you. So W6DQ, K6FEW, go ahead.
Okay, very good, Frank. Thank you, K6FEW and the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ here. Excellent. Well, fine business on the Mohawk. Yeah, that's another cool radio. We've got one of those sitting around here somewhere. And I think it's in storage, actually, and it's not working, unfortunately. So, anyway, one of these days, we'll get that thing on the air. Probably. But, again, everybody's sounding great. And Mike, you know, I was, W6THW, if you're still listening, I recognized that call sign, and I was trying to think of from where, and it's probably from AMI from years ago. And as soon as Mike MS said Penryn Mike, I go, yeah, of course. That's it. I know that name. So there we go. So welcome to the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, and look forward to having you back here in the future. Every week we're here. So excellent, excellent. And Vaughn, as always, the 100V sounds good, and that's pretty cool. The 100V and the SB220. Yeah, and I remember Jay was showing off his little 5-watt AM rig, and yeah, that was pretty neat too. And when you said that, it reminded me of what the last kit was that I built. And I was going to say one thing, but now I just realized it was something else that was in this. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And Tom, sounding good. A little bit of distortion on your signal, and I'm not sure what that's coming from. Maybe you're overdriving the amp a little bit or something, but I'll tell you what, everybody's got fantastic signals here. Everybody is 10 to 20 over, if not more. So I'm really thrilled about tonight. So there we go. Let me take a quick break and see if there's anybody else who'd like to check in at this time. This is W6DQ looking for any more check-ins for the Vintage Single Sideband Roundtable.
NY6L Hysteria.
Okay, Jay, I've got you. NY6L. Good evening to you. Your ears must have been burning. We were talking about you a minute ago. All right, well, let me tell you, I was thinking the last kit I built, and I do a lot of, I love building stuff. And so I had a cabinet full of unbuilt kits, and I've slowly but surely been going through them. And the last one I assembled, I'm not going to bother talking about that. It was an IG-5218, but I'm not going to go there. The last thing I actually did assemble, the last kit I built, was a micro BitX, if you guys have ever run across that. With a surge of the inexpensive microcontroller-controlled sideband CW radios, the micro BitX was like the second generation that came out of India. And the first generation was the mid-X, and then the next one was the micro-mid-X. And the micro-mid-X is like a 10-watt single sideband, 5-band, well, actually, I think it does all bands, all HF band transceivers. And it was really inexpensive, but you build it, and it was really a decent design. And they've expanded on that, and there's all kinds of hacks to it. It's really a neat little product. So that's the one I will talk about. My micro mid-X was really a slick little transceiver that they came out with a complete kit. It's got a cabinet and everything for it. It looks really nice. And I want to say it was under $200 for the whole kit, if I remember. And it's only been a couple of years. It was right before the pandemic. So there you go. That was the last kit I did. But I have built lots and lots of heat kits, and I've got a bunch of them still sitting on the shelf here to get built. And in fact, anybody who has an MD-104, I have an unbuilt external CFO. Somebody would be interested in assembling that and buying that or having it, get in contact with me because it could be yours. I've got one now that's running. I don't need to have the kit anymore, so I got the kit. I wanted to build it, but you know what? I don't have time for that anymore. That kit's kind of complex for me right now. I don't have the time to do it. Anyway, that's beside the point. Well, let's see. Yeah, we're making it up as we go along. There we go. And Jay, just FYI, our scheduled host was not here. I was here taking the earlies, and of course I got nominated to run the show tonight, and I pulled a question out of thin air about the last, one of two questions, either the last kit you built or the last homebrew project you did. So there you go. That's what we're talking about tonight. So I'm going to move on to the next group. We're starting out with Glenn, WB6RLC. Glenn, you can give it to Lisa, KF6QNG. Lisa, give it to Dave, WJ6W. And Dave, give it to Bob, WA9JIB. And Bob, give it back to me. So take it away, Glenn. WB6RLC and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Alrighty, W6DQ, WB6RLC, and the illustrious group here. Glenn in Cathedral City, next burg over from Palm Springs, where the desert meets the sand. Rig tonight, Swan 400. Shure 444 mic up to an off-center fed dipole at 32 feet. And I built some kits, way back in the day. I built a heat kit, a night kit, tube-type stereo amplifier, and an ICO FM tuner. That was my high school graduation present. That. And then for my ham stuff, I built a night kit R55 receiver, which was my novice receiver. So, and then the last ham kit I built was that 5-watt AM transmitter. And one of these days, Jay and I are going to get on the air and give that a shot and see if we can go from this area to the Palm Springs area on 5 watts of amplitude modulated. But anyway, so the latest project I'm working on has nothing to do with ham radio. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because I'm really jazzed about it. Many of you know that I work or volunteer at the Palm Springs Air Museum, and we have a mock-up of a F-16 cockpit, and kids climb in it and stuff, and people steal the light bulbs and the lenses and things and beat it up. So I've kind of adopted it, and I'm cleaning it up. And I'm building using a 555 timer, a little thing that sounds like a machine gun. And I've had to replace and rebuild the stick. And so when the kids, it's all in work. using this 555 timer is going to make a machine gun sound when you pull the trigger. Well, then I disassembled one of those high-intensity flashlights, and off of that sound, I'm going to trigger the high-intensity flashlight. And then the coup de grace on this whole thing is I've got a little motor with a gear in it, and I'm going to have the machine shot making an off-center eccentric weight to put on the shaft, and I'm going to bolt that baby to the bottom of the seat on that F-16. So when some kid pulls the trigger, the light's going to flash, he's going to hear machine gun sound, and the seat of his pants is going to rattle. So nothing to do with ham radio, but I'm putting this together and having a really good time doing it. Okay, Lisa, coming over to you. Cav 6 QNGW B6 RLC in the group.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. And thank you, Dennis, for running the roundtable this evening. So, let's see, the question, the last kit I made was a Heath kit model HD3006. And what is it? It is a Heath kit HD3006 Crossfire RIDI display, or wide display. So anyway, that's my story. Now I'm sticking to it. So anyway, yeah, first and last and only. But anyway, yeah, someday when I retire. So just everyone have a good evening and be safe out there, and we'll let's see, goes over to Dave. So take it away, Dave. WJ6W from KF6QNG.
KF6QNG, WJ6W. Yeah, Dave here in Tarzana. Yeah, very good. Dennis, turns out to be a pretty good question for off the cuff for any time. It's very interesting what everyone has done and plans to do and so on. I wanted to mention to Vaughn, I live near Vaughn. I'm in Tarzana and he's in Woodland Hills. And you mentioned that the Heath Kit store is now a paint store. And I'm betting it's one of the two paint stores I know on Topanga Canyon Boulevard. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking one of those two was the Heath Kit store at one time. As I recall, they're located very close to each other. Anyway, that was very entertaining. And let's see, as far as kits, as vintage kits anyway, I only built one, and that was the Heath Kit GR64 receiver back when I was in high school. And Glenn, that's probably similar to the Heath Kit, the Night Kit R55. Not a very good receiver, but boy, did I have fun with that, listening to shortwave stations all over the place. Back in those days, of course, there were so many of them, and Radio Moscow and all that stuff. Anyway, not a good receiver, but a lot of fun. And somehow I lost it, but I found one again a few years ago at TRW, so I bought it for, what, $15 or something. Works as bad or as good as the one I built, so I figured I'd build it properly originally. So anyway, but I did have at one time an SB200 unbuilt amplifier. I finally sold it to somebody who would either want to build it or keep it as something to own. I figured, building it would lower the value of it drastically. So anyway, I chose to take some money. I have a Heath Kit capacitor checker unbuilt, so I always been going to build that thing, but never really have gotten around to it. So anyway, the last kit though I built was some VFO stabilizer cards, I guess. So that's in the modern era, the Elcon VFO stabilizers. And the receiver here, the Drake R4C receiver I'm using tonight, has one of those in it. And tonight, when I turned on to listen to Dennis. I didn't really have to adjust the VFO at all here. It's right on from when I turned it off last week or whenever I last used it. I also installed one in the Collins 75S3B receiver, which really eliminated all the drift on that. I built a third one I was going to put in my KWM2 or 312B5, but I figured out that isn't going to work too well because the VFO actually gets turned on and off when you're in the receive and transmit on one or, where it switches between PTOs. So probably wouldn't work that well. So I have one sitting on the shelf and I might use it in something else someday. So that's my story, and I'm going to send it over to Bob. WA9JIB, WJ6W.
Okay, Dave, the WJ6W and the roundtable is WA9JIB. Bob over here in La Cañada. The story is nice and quiet, really good. Tonight I'm on my helicopter station, microphone, HD32B, SS115 is the receiver, that's another one that Art's operating. And, let's see, I can go through internet, run up to my homebrew dipole, inverted V, hanging off a 35-foot mast. Yeah, I'm running it barefoot. So, as I almost always do. So let's see, on to the question. I did build kits as a kid. I have not built one in decades, nor have I don't think I've ever, I'm not sure if the definition of home brewing requires that you design it, or maybe it's just not a kit, maybe you just build it out of a magazine schematic or something like that. Yeah, I did that one. I wish I could find that magazine. I wish I could still find the radio, but I let it go. And when we were cleaning out my parents' house, and it was a one-tube AC-powered radio with a power trans, and I've searched through so many electronics magazines to find it, never did find it. So if I ever do find it, I'm going to build it again. Let's see. But I built an Allied Radio night kit. Crystal set was my first, and then I'm sure I built an Ocean Hopper and/or a Span Master, and/or a Space Spanner, and I definitely built a Span Master. I had some other night kits, including an R55, but I didn't build them all. So I probably, had my hands in 4 or 5 at least night kits, things like that. Never built a heat kit. Have had a lot of heat kits of various things, mostly test equipment, but they've always been built when they came to me. So, looking towards, a couple other notes. The tree I couldn't remember the name of was a liquid amber. They're so beautiful this time of year. The California version of a maple from the Midwest. Nobody has mentioned Elecraft. Elecraft radios come in kit form. Nobody has mentioned one of those yet. I don't have one. I saw a video of one being built. You don't even need a soldering gun or iron. It's just to snap together, but they call it a kit. Looking to the future, I would like to build a theremin one of these days. I've got the circuit. I've got some rabbit ears from some TVs I've cannibalized. I've got an old SS38 chassis and a ton of parts, so maybe someday I'll build myself a theremin, and then will come the tough part, learning how to play it. So with that, back to net control, W6DQ, WA9JIB.
Okay, Bob, very good. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff there. Interesting on the theremin. Well, that's a radio device when you think about it. It's definitely radio related. And I've built a couple of them that were the ones that were out of Popular Electronics. Poptronics. I built, and it was, I think Sweatpuck made the kit for that. Southwest Technical Products Corporation. Built a ton of those in my childhood. And so I get a lot of mileage with those guys. I imagine that some of you remember Southwest Technical Products Corporation. Sweatpuck out of Fort Myers, Florida. Let's see. So very good on that. let's see. I'm going over my notes here, trying to read my notes. My gosh. Yeah, you've talked about that one-tube receiver before, Bob, and you've never found that. That's something worth looking for. We should try and find that. That's really neat. Of course, all the night kits. Yeah, I built a few night kits back in the day as well, but primarily heat kits back in the old days. I built when I was in high school. It was a brand new high school. We were the first graduating class, but we were there for 2 years, junior and senior year, and a couple of us put together all of the test equipment for the electronics shop, and they were all heat kits. So low voltage, high voltage power supplies, signal generators, oscilloscopes, and VTVMs. And we got to build all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun doing that. Take home a VTVM after school and bring it back assembled the next day. And let's see, what else? Glenn, you were talking about the R55. Yep. And I think we're going to hear some more about that 5-watt AM kit when Jay comes up, I hope. And let's see, Lisa and the Crossfire. Yeah, that was her. I was teaching her how to solder. I gave her a how to solder kit, so she learned how to use the soldering iron, and then I gave her the heat kit to build. And of course, one of the problems, if you try assembling an old heat kit that's got a circuit board in it, the circuit boards are not very conducive to being soldered after so much time. So we had to spend a lot of time cleaning the board, and probably be nice to re-tin it or plate it or something to get them to work right. But anyway, that was not a lot of fun to try to get the solder to flow on the circuit board. It's kind of a problem, and I've had that with some of the other heat kits that I've assembled in recent years. So anyway, all right. Well, let's keep going forward here. We got some great answers so far. See if I missed anything here. I don't think so. I think I got all my notes covered. Yeah, again, everybody has sounded fantastic. So let's see, the next group I have, we'll see if John's back, WA6JUS. You disappeared on his first round, but John, we'll see if you're back, WA6JUS, and it goes over to Ken, KW1NG, and Ken, it goes to N4DLA, Matthew, and let's just, Matthew, send it back to me. We'll just do 2 groups of 3. So, John, if you're there, pick it up. If not, it'll go over to you, Ken. So WA6JUS and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
W6DQ, WA6JUS.
Yeah, it's your turn. Go ahead.
On being here first, I remember building a heat kit on space spanners when I was real young, like 4th grade, and had an older friend wire it up, and then when I was in 6th grade, a heat kit AR3, and more recently I've been trying to restore recording equipment to make that sound available for my future friends. It seems like the hardest thing is to create the environment where the stuff can live and breathe as it should. I've worked in churches as a sound man, hoping that maybe that environment will provide a home for it properly. I've had phone calls to make. Okay, let's turn it over to the man Ken. I forget the phone sign. Please take it. This is WA6JUS.
Real good, John. Thank you. Gosh, it's a good subject tonight. When I was a kid, just getting my novice, I remember I was in Costa Mesa, and I used to ride my bike up to the heat kit store in Anaheim. And I just, hang around and drool and so forth. And finally got up enough coin to get my SB300, the receiver kit. So I got one of those. I found one they had one on closeout because the 301 had come out. So I got the SB300 and I bought a DX60A kit. And that was also on closeout because the B had come out. So that was my novice setup, is the SB300 and the DX60A. And I had fun building those.
I also built an ICO kit. ICO made kits. They had a VTVM, and I built that, a meter, and then a heat grid dip oscillator. I remember building that, but that was all as a kid. And then I went into, after high school, I went into
work. I worked on the bench fixing radios at Gary Radio down in San Diego. And did that for a few years, then moved on to another company, built amplifiers, designed amplifiers, and so forth. Before I was a novice, a friend of mine and I used to build amplifiers for that band we won't speak of, and so I kind of got my teeth cut on building stuff then. And after that, after I got into the working world, I just designed stuff, built prototypes and all that. I kind of lost interest in personally building things because that's all I did at work all the time. So, and W7MS, I was glad to hear you running Astro 103. I was one of the designers of that. I designed the dual crystal filter system, the bandpass system, where you can cut the lows or cut the highs, or move it all around. So I was one of the designers of that, and worked on some other sections of that along with other stuff there at the Swan that had become cubic. So, and then after that, I went into computers, computer systems, and built monitors for military space and military planes. And now I'm building big power converters for electric vehicle charging. So working on the next one, which is a 600 kilowatts. So I'm doing that now. So I still do that, but I just don't have the time or the desire at home to build stuff anymore because that's all I do at work all the time. So anyway, it's been a fun career. Very interesting. All right, I believe it passes on to Matthew, N4DLA. Take it away, KW1NG.
Okay, thank you, Ken. KW1NG and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable. This is Matthew, November 4 Delta Lima Alpha, from the city of Orinda, about 15 miles east of San Francisco, using a Shure 444 microphone into a Atlas 210X, running 100 watts, straight feeding a 75-meter dipole sloping down from 60 feet. Great signals from everybody tonight. Really good signals. Glad my signal was making it down south. Kit-wise, I'm building a Pixie kit, 40-meter CW transceiver. Not too sophisticated, but been very small. But something I wanted to try to do. I also got I guess an external. It's a crystal control transmitter, so I got an external. It's really not external, but just a separate kit to add 5 additional channels in the 40-meter CW band. And my first kit was a Heathkit HD 1416 code practice oscillator back around 1976, because at 14 years old, that's about all I could afford. And the Heathkit store was pretty far away from where I lived in Maryland. Maybe it was not bicycle close, it's driving close. It's in the same shopping center as the Lafayette Electronics store. And the next kit I built was a Ramsey electronic frequency counter for my father's home business he had on the side while he was in the service. I think it's still in his shop somewhere, although it did migrate from Maryland to Utah to California eventually. So, and also, Dennis, thank you for running the net. Your Johnson Messenger 2 that I bought from you at the Rocco's picnic is operational now. I had to give that desk microphone on at the heave ho, and there's a Turner Plus 2 on it now. It needed some new caps and a lot of cleaning and oiling, but I did not convert it to 10 meters. I just left it. Just do too much damage to it. I figured it was worth more. It's a classic 11-meter Johnson transceiver. So, thanks for running that. I will turn it back to you. W6DQ and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable from N4DLA Orinda.
Oh, very good, Matthew. N4DLA and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ here. Very good. Wow, I'm glad you got that going. That's really cool. The Johnson Messenger 2. Yeah, that was neat. And I'm glad, sorry you had to deep six the mic, but at least you got the radio going. That's really cool. And yeah, leave it in its original state. Why not? That's neat. I like it. And the Pixie. Yep, I've built a couple of those. In fact, that's actually highlighted in the book, the Arduino book that Jack Purdom and I wrote. There's a chapter on a DDS VFO, and Pixie is one of the radios we attached that to. It's bigger than the radio, but it worked. You know, it's pretty cool. So we have a lot of information on that in there. A lot of the little QRP radios that are rock-bound, we did some testing of being able to put that DDS VFO into them. So that's neat that you did that. You're the first person I've spoken to that built one other than me. So that's good. That's really cool. Let's see, Ken. You mentioned Heathkit in Anaheim, Ball Road by the railroad tracks. Been there many, many times. And I was just looking on the, just checking out, see if the building is still. The building was demolished. They got a new building there now, unfortunately. But I do have to share on the subject of Heathkit. I do have a story that I do need to share about Heathkit. Believe it or not, there was a Heathkit store in Redondo Beach. You're familiar with the beach cities down where I grew up? Redondo Beach, and it was in an area called the Triangle, and it was on the very, very tip of the triangle. It was a long, narrow building that came up to a triangular point, and the Heathkit shop was at the point, and it was a tiny little store. And I was in junior high, and my neighbor one of my neighbors had given me a Heathkit radio direction finder. It was the old one, not the really fancy looking one with the slide rule dial and all that. It was the older one with the looked like one of the lunch boxes. It was that same size package, and it wasn't working. And I determined that one of the IF transformers was bad. It had an open circuit. I'm in junior high. My dad drives me down there. The Heathkit store. Maybe they got parts, right? I went to that store and asked him about the parts, and the guy goes off into the back room, and he comes back a few minutes later, and he's got that IF transformer. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned. Glenn is showing off his Heathkit radio direction finder. No, the predecessor of that one. But those are cool. That one that I had was really neat. And the fact that they had that transformer, what do I know? I didn't know anything about the stuff in those days. Realizing, well, that transformer was probably used in about 30 of their kits. So, of course, they had spare parts. They all used a 455 kilohertz IF. So, yeah, readily available parts. But as a kid, that just blew me away that they had that part at the store. It's like, how big is that stock room anyway? That must be huge. But anyway, that's great on the Ball Road. Somebody here in this group worked in that store, I believe. Somebody worked at the Heathkit store on Ball Road. On one of our groups here, but I don't remember who it was. But anyway, that's cool, Ken. Thanks for the memories there. And let's see. Oh, John, JUS mentioned recording equipment. Very good on the recording equipment. Yeah, a lot of interest in that stuff these days. I've got a lot of vintage recording equipment here, and of course, I was in the business doing live sound back in the old days. I was a sound engineer back in the 70s, and doing concerts and what have you. But I was also designing, and the company I worked for before that, designing and manufacturing this stuff too. So we were building mixers and amplifiers, PA systems, speaker cabinets, all that stuff. We were a big JBL dealer. Had a lot of fun in that business, but that's another story, and I won't go any farther. So with that, I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to give it to George, W6YEC. And George, you'll give it to Skip, K6LGL. And Skip, it'll go over to Jay, NY6L. And Jay, you can give it back to me, and we'll wrap this up for the evening. So George, take it away. W6YEC and the Vintage Sideband Roundtable, W6DQ.
Okay, very good, Dennis. Great night. W6YEC. And my first experience with a kit was a Heathkit DX20. Same store Phil was talking about. Took my paperboy money and went up there and bought a DX20 and built it. And lo and behold, it worked. And boy, those were the days. And Ken, you brought back a lot of memories. Gary Radio, wow. I worked just down the street at Packer Bell at the time Gary had the store. A lot of good memories from that store. Was sorry to see it shut down. Anyway, let's see. The last homebrew, nothing big, but it was a screen modulator for my biking adventure. And just a schematic of the screen modulator that the biking had available, and put it in a little box here, and it's all set up. It still works. Once in a while, I put it on, drive it on SB 200, and I'll have to do that. Maybe next time I get a chance to get on AM, maybe I'll hook that up instead of using the Ranger, just for the fun of it. But when it comes to kits, I've got to say that rather than building, and I have built kits, like I said, that DX20, but most of my experience has been fixing people's kits. Anyway, the one that comes to mind that I'll use as a little story here tonight was a Marauder. I really wanted a Marauder, and lo and behold, I found one on 2 meters. I said he had a Marauder that was still in the original box. He had built when he was in high school, and it never worked. So I bought that from him and brought it home. And let's see, it wasn't very long before I had voltage going through it. It never had voltage going through it because the bad solder joint in the power supply. And I got that going. I found about 35 different bad solder joints and got that radio on the air and used it for some time, years ago. And so that was a pretty exciting thing to get that running. And I was hoping to have him over the house sometime to be able to be on the air with his Marauders that he never was able to get going. But that didn't work out. So that's my story, Dennis. So let's see. I'm to give it over to you, Skip, K6LGL. We'll wait to hear all the stories you have. W6YEC.
Okay, thank you, George. W6YEC and the vintage Southbound Roundtable Group, K6LGL. That's an interesting topic, you know. This is Skip in Santa Monica, K6 little green light. I'm on my 902 DM. I avoided the kits simply because when I got started with Cycle 19, and that's, you know, about 1955 to 1960. So in World War II surplus, SCL 274Ms and ARC 5s and ARC 4s and all this other stuff, BC 624s, etc. They were available at a very reasonable price. So what you do is you buy it and you modify it. And since I was working also at the same time for Douglas Aircraft, and within a year I was a member of Gus Flight Crew, where I had to check out all the, you know, aircraft equipment, everything from weather radar to navigation and comm systems and so on. You know, this idea of building little kits just wasn't my thing. So I spent modifying stuff to put on the air, and then my interest initially was in VHF, UHF, and microwave, and the kits that were available there were rather limited. So there's a lot of preamps, you know, for 2 meters and above, mostly 1296 on, 2304, and up to 10 gigs there. Not so much kits, but you modify, and that's what I have done most of my life, taking existing equipment. I did build something recently in 2004. I built a kilowatt input all-band Class C amplifier with a variable power supply so it could be used as a linear amplifier with about 600 watts output or so. You know, 1 CW, actually probably 700 on CW though. No problem, running about 3,500 volts on the plate and over 500 volts on the screen, the 400 a day. And then I built a lot of antennas, 2 meters and above. And I had a homebrew 8 by 8 skeleton slot, 8 elements, space 3/8 apart, 8 elements. And I bounced signals off the moon with that at about 200 watts. I heard that, although I didn't do that regularly, but I did hear my return signal. And then 432, 1296 on antennas, some dishes with illuminators, stuff like that. So, that doesn't quite count because it's all UHF stuff and above. Okay, enough of that. But modifying and adding, improving things, I guess is what I enjoy doing. Taking existing equipment and modifying and updating it. Over to you there, Jay. NY6L and the Vintage Sideband Group, K6LGL.
Okay, Skip, very good. Thank you very much. K6LGL. NY6L, Jay here in Hesperia. And this evening, we're also running a Kentech Triton 4 that I picked up for $50, and I had to go through it to, shall we say, wake it up, and it looks like it's working okay. So maybe get a little audio report on it, see how it fares out. And yeah, the band is very quiet. So yes, the last kit I built recently was the four-state QRP group. It's called the Novu 75A QRP AM transceiver, and it resides on 80 meters. And to answer your question there, Glenn, I was able to get into Arizona with a measly, about 3 to 4 watts carrier into Arizona, and good audio reports. So when conditions are right and antenna, tuned antenna, everything, QRP will work. Kind of a cute little radio. So yeah. It was a lot of fun to build. I built it in one evening. I would guess it probably took me about maybe 10 hours total to get it, from nothing to working, and no smoke on the first try. So that worked out really great. Okay, we'll move it along to back to net control. W6DQ NY6L, and thank you, Dennis, for running the net.
Jay, very good. I figured you'd fill us in on the Nouveau 75B. That's really cool. I got to check that out. One of the things, I don't like operating QRP, but I like building QRP radios, and I've got a cabinet full of those too. And Bob, I forgot, Bob, JIB, mentioned Elecraft. The early days of Elecraft, you really built that stuff. They were solder kits, and I've got my first Elecraft was a K2, then I had a K1, then a KX1, and then I built 2 of the W2 watt meters, and I really like those. I've got one of those sitting in front of me, although it's not enough for this radio, but I've got one of those hooked up to one of my estimators, and it's a nice little watt meter, directional watt meter. So cool. Yeah, Elecraft, amazing. Those guys have done an amazing job with their kit. So thanks for mentioning that, Bob. Jay, the Nouveau 75B, that sounds like a really cool thing. I'm going to go check that out. Like I said, I got to go see what that's all about. And Skip, you also brought up a good point about war surplus, all the military surplus stuff that was available back in the post-war late 40s, early 50s, and even into the 60s. By the time I was licensed in the late 60s, that stuff was still around. And yeah, that was a big deal back then. Modifying that stuff, Arc 5s. That was my first ham rig, was a set of Arc 5s. So an 80-meter CW as a novice with a BC 696 and a BC 454. And I wish I still had that radio, but I don't. I've got those radios, but not the original ones I had, unfortunately. anyway, and George, screen modulator for the Viking Adventure. That sounds cool. That sounds like a cool little project, and I'd like to hear that sometime with the SB2. Actually, you're saying SB200 with that, so that's cool. But Marauder, resurrecting a Marauder from a stillborn Marauder, let's call it that. Resurrecting it, and bad solder joints, 35 bad solder joints. Yikes. Yeah, some folks have no trouble soldering. Other folks just don't quite get it. So, and I know you do a lot of that. You like doing that kind of stuff. So with that, I'm going to see if there's anybody else out there who wants to join us. We're kind of over the limit here at 8 o'clock, but I'm going to see if there's anybody else, if we missed anybody or anybody else has anything to add. And I'm going to give away a golden cup. So let's see if anybody has anything to add. Shirley, go ahead. There's Gary, WA7 BIP. Very weak here, Gary, tonight, but I heard you. So why don't you take a turn and we'll see if we can hear you any better. Go ahead.
Okay, well, the tubes are probably warmed up now. I just hit the heaters on when you're opening up for a chance to get in there, so they're probably not even hot yet. Anyway, it's good to be on. I just walked in here. We had a late dinner. We're kind of camping in our house. We got it all ripped apart for a new kitchen, so I'm very tired today and realize it's Tuesday. So how do you like that? W6DQ, WA7BIP, here on the Kenwood CS 830S.
Okay, Gary, very good. You turn it back to me?
I did. I don't even know what the question is, so I'm just going to let it go.
Well, if you'd like to answer the question, I was asking a question. We kind of made it up on the fly as to what was the last, maybe the last kit you assembled or the last homebrew project you did, one of the two.
Oh, gosh. You know, I can't remember. I do have one to build. I think I have something called an S177 heat kit. That's kind of after heat kit folded and you took them over. Somebody handed me a bunch of that stuff, parts in a box. I think they're going to put it together. I think it's an SW177, something like that. You might know better than I do. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not familiar with that one, but it sounds like any heat kit you can put together is fun. I don't care what it is. It's all fun stuff. So very good, Gary. Well, anything else to add?
Well, that's it. Glad to get on here, and I see that Rick's putting out power now, so hope for it. I was asking for him to come up solid state mode. They just wouldn't do it. WA7BIP, back to you, Dennis.
Okay, Gary, very good. Well, you're pushing S9 here, and I'm copying you just 100%. No problem at all. S9, and the noise level is shortly below that, about S7 or so. So good copy. And signals have been terrific tonight. Absolutely terrific. Well, listen. I am going to give out a golden cup, and the story that really touched me, because I go, yeah, I get that, been there, done that, and that's fun, and I know that he does a lot of this. But George, I'm giving you the golden cup tonight over that Marauder that you resurrected. I just think that was a great story, and it sounds like your friend never got a chance to see it on the air, but what a cool story to have your friend build it and never get the thing working, and then give it to you and troubleshoot and get the thing back on the air for the first time. So George, what do you say? W6YEC, W6DQ.
Well, thank you so much, Dennis. We'll put it on the shelf there and have fond memories of the Marauder. Yeah, that was quite a deal. To find that, it came in the original box with the original packing inside there, and it was a beautiful looking radio. The biggest problem the Marauder had was that VFO dial. That was a nightmare. I don't know why they had to go that direction, but that's another subject for another day. Anyway, Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Back to you, Dennis. W6DQ, W6YEC.
Okay, George, very good. Well, thank you for sharing that story with us. That's great. And yeah, I remember those radios. I think I've got a Marauder sitting on the shelf out in my container that's not operating right now. Maybe I should bring it down to you and you can make it work for me. Hi. But yeah, someday that'll be something to work on. But anyway, something to clear out when I need to start clearing stuff out of here. Well, guys, this has been really great for a ad hoc impromptu roundtable tonight. Some really great answers and really great comments on the questions. And we're going to have to figure out what happened to Bob and what happened to John. I'll send them a note and figure out where everybody went to. Now, I'm supposed to be the host next week, but I guess somebody's going to get to sit in for me since I did it this week. So maybe we'll make Bob do the host duties next week if he's around. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on the roundtable tonight. I've really enjoyed this. It's been a lot of fun. And good to have everybody here with newcomer Mike at W6THW. I hope we have him back here next week. And some folks who have been missing for a while, like Frank, who's back. Nice to have you back. And just in general, a lot of fun tonight. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate what everybody is doing there and all you have to contribute to this. So I will say 7-3 and a very good evening. Have a great week. And we'll hopefully see everybody next week at the same time. So this is W6DQ officially closing down the Vintage Single Site Band Roundtable for the 7th of November, 2023. Good night, all. W6DQ will be clear.
Good night. That was fun. Very interesting.
On a ham club meeting and just having a great time. Thank you.